About balls. Wayne, how are you doing today on this fine Thursday?
Weather's not nice outside, but I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thursday, we had some technical difficulties. In other words, we got locked out. And now we are back to talk about the NBA. But
Couple
first
weeks
off,
ago.
let's talk about the direction of our podcast as the NFL kind of starts to slow down. Let's lay out the next couple months to around September. So, let's take a peek first off at these next couple of weeks. The NBA playoffs are in full swing. That's what's trending. That's what we're going to be talking about more often. Okay, that's going to take us for the next couple of weeks all the way up into the finals. And when that goes down, we'll sprinkle some NFL in because at heart, we're still an NFL podcast with some sprinkles of other stuff. Man, I want to have ice cream. I'm talking about sprinkle way too much.
You want to go to me?
No, I haven't had ice cream with sprinkles in a long time because I'm not a child.
Sprinkles are so disgusting. I hate them.
Anyway, that will go on to about June,
like mini
and then we'll take a
Nice.
real deep dive in the NFL, answer some questions we haven't answered, and do that for about a month in the dry point of the NFL, and then we'll start to get into some of these fun podcasts, maybe do some trivia, maybe do some guest things all throughout the summer, see how that goes. And then that'll take us to about August when the NFL is about to hit in swing, and we'll see how that goes. And then, of course, the NFL starts, and that'll take us all the way around back to February and March again. So that is the flow of the podcast. But for now, the NBA playoffs are in full swing. The NFL has officially entered its spot. Its dry spot from about from about now until late July. It's going to be dry in the NFL. There's not much happening, but in the NBA, the playoffs are underway and they are going pretty something. They're going something. Let's recap the first round of the NBA playoffs. Let's start off.
Thunder beat the Pelicans in 4.
Nobody
Go
cares.
figure.
No, the best series of the first round,
The Magic and the Cavs.
if you're on crack. The best season of the first round, best series of the first round, the Knicks and the Sixers
76ers.
went to 6 games. It was a great series, although it only went to 6 games. Listen,
But the Sixers are the Sixers and choked.
I got a lot to say about these Philadelphia 76ers. And every single year, it's the same thing with Philly. And listen, they are the NBA's version of the Dallas Cowboys. The only difference is the Cowboys are the most clown team in sports, and the Sixers nobody cares about.
Because they're bad.
Whether that be whatever, it doesn't really matter.
Wasn't
But
there last Eastern Conference final in
2001. Yeah.
23 years.
So Philadelphia goes out again against New York. And listen, it's always something with Philly in terms of getting a pass. So the last couple of
But
years,
Joel got hurt this year.
you've had Ben Simmons, Joel's gotten hurt, but you walk in as the 7th seed, you play the New York Knicks. At some point, the great ones don't need excuses. And Philly is not one of the great ones right now, and they need excuses. They've gone through so many different eras around Joel Embiid. They had Brett Brown in 2018 with Embiid and Simmons and Jimmy Butler. They've gone through that era. Then they had the Ben Simmons and era in the COVID era. And then they had the James Harden era, the Tobias Harris is there. Everything. Joel Embiid's been set up. We don't really look at him as having, great teammates. We look at that with a James Harden, a Kevin Durant, LeBron James. But Joel Embiid's had competent around him. He has Tyrese Maxey dropping 47 in a game and getting him the win in that game number 5 when the Knicks looked like they were killing him. They had Maxey hitting a basically half-court shot. And once again, Joel Embiid falls short in 6 games. When will the excuses stop and we start to look at Joel Embiid, a guy who shot 24% in the fourth quarter in the playoff against the New York Knicks? Did he have good numbers? Yes. He played good. He had a 50-point game.
Numbers don't matter if you're not winning.
But when push comes to shove in the postseason, in the fourth quarter, he did not play good. He did not perform when it matters most, and they suffered for it. And when they're going through and you're trying to get the ball down to him in the post, and he's got guarded by Isaiah Hartenstein, and Hartenstein's giving him the work down low, and Tyrese Maxey has to go out and score, 15 points in the fourth quarter, has to carry the team, has to score 7 points in 25 seconds. It doesn't show a leader for Joel Embiid, for Philly. And Joel Embiid, I think we really have to start considering, can Philly win with him? First off, they haven't before. But when does the window start to close? Because this process has been going on for, I don't know, 8 9 years. Joel Embiid's going into year number 11 next year. Year 11.
And how many
That's how
playoffs
long
wins?
he's been in the. He's won 2 playoff series or whatever, right? There have been basically almost every other team, competent or not, in 20 years, 23 years, have at least made one conference finals, except for Philly. And of course, this is probably the most interesting offseason Philly's going to have in a while. There's a lot of rumors out there. Paul George is a rumor. DeMar DeRozan. There's options for the third star. I ask, how are you going to get him? I mean, Philly fans and really any other fan base thinks they can get good players without giving up good players. Look, Philly's got Embiid and Maxey. Besides from that, there's nobody else in that roster that I would even consider trading Paul George. Nobody on that team. Maybe you throw 4 first-round picks at him, but at the end of the day, I don't think the Clippers say yes to that. This is an old team. They've gone through. Embiid's gone through 3 to 4 different coaches. It hasn't worked in Philadelphia. I don't think it will work in Philly, and I think they're in for a long, long off season. Your thoughts on the Knicks Sixers series?
Pretty interesting series. You win $50 out of that. Well, actually, no, it was just your SNS Speedway ticket. But
I do win $50. Big time bet.
should have pushed them to 100.
I was getting
But,
scared for a second.
Sixers once again choking playoffs.
Yeah, no shocker there. Let's talk about the Knicks. These
They
Knicks.
are hot.
These Knicks
The Knickerbockers.
have not lost at home in these playoffs just yet. They are 4-0 in the postseason. No, 5-0 in the playoffs at home.
Yeah, they just played.
On the flip side, they have not. Did they win at home? Yeah, they won. They lost. They won on the
They
road
went
once.
4-2,
Yeah.
another 2-0 against the Pacers.
So yeah, they
I don't
have
know how
not
many
lost.
games they've played.
They have not lost at home yet. Just kidding. They have in Game 5 against the Sixers. So they have lost at home. So my bad. But for these Knicks,
You were on to nothing.
Yeah, I was
You were
on
on to
nothing.
something and then realized it was nothing.
blood was not on anything. But
Blood was on blood.
the
It's our
Knicks.
heroin.
This is not really related to basketball all that much, but Madison Square Garden, playoff time, it feels right. In the Garden.
Knickerbockers.
Please stop. In the Garden, in the playoffs, the Knicks have an old school classic feel. Right? It's like when you see an old jacket and you're like, man, that jacket's got history. Like that's been around. That's the Knicks. The Knicks got history. The Knicks
Average
got
late night finds. You ever seen those
the
TikToks?
Knicks got they're just a great team. The celebrity row, everybody comes out. When the Knicks are good, everybody's out there. Guy Fieri, some other guys that I can't remember. Spike Lee, of course, is always there.
Spike Lee hitting a T.
Greg McEnroe. So many guys. And listen, they got a guy. I don't know if you heard of this guy. Jalen Brunson's a ball player. Just a little bit.
Was Julius Randle traded?
No, Julius Randle was not
Hurt.
traded.
He's hurt. Right.
Yeah, he's hurt. So Brunson
No, they traded.
in this postseason,
They
they-
who'd they trade? No.
the Raptors. Yeah, shut
Who'd they
up.
trade?
R.J. Barrett.
That's who it was.
But this Knicks team is different from previous teams. They have their star in Jalen Brunson, who I think is a top 10 player in the league. I'm a big Jalen Brunson guy. Even when he was on Dallas, when Luka was out a couple games back in 2022, when Dallas made their Western Conference Finals run, Luka was out Game 1 and Game 2 of the postseason. Jalen Brunson had 40 and 35. So it's clear when he has the reins, he's one of the best players in the league. And this year he was top 5 in scoring, 29 points per game. The playoffs, he stepped it up. 35.5 points per game and 8 assists. I mean, if you just look at that points he's creating, first off, he's got 35.5. 8 assists is at least 16 points. Let's round it up to 20. He's creating 55 points for the Knicks each game, which is over half that they're scoring. And the philosophy from Tom Thibodeau, the Knicks head coach, this is just an old school team. They're going to play a lot of minutes. If you know anything about the Knicks,
Josh Hart.
Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Hartenstein, Brunson, all of these guys are going to play 40-plus minutes a game, probably closer to 45. And when they had the Sixers series, they played 50. So this Knicks team is different from any other team that we've seen in the playoffs for a long time. They have their star. They don't really have anybody out besides it. But DiVincenzo, Hart, Anunoby are going to do the little things. They're all great at defense. They're all great at rebounds. And you don't really need a second scorer on a consistent night as long as 1/3 of the night Josh Hart's the second scorer, 1/3 of the night Ananobi's the second scorer, 1/3 of the night DiVincenzo's the second scorer. And they all came out and played yesterday. And the thing that impressed me about the Knicks last night, Jalen Brunson was hurt for about 10 minutes in that game. And they didn't play too good. When he came back, Brunson played really good basketball. What's the max for this Knicks team?
I feel like the finals.
I think they could win the finals.
Like, they have been hot during
They
this
haven't.
playoff run.
I think for the Knicks right now, and too many times we'll get into Nikola Jokic soon, winning the NBA's MVP. But too many times when something's really good for a long time, we kind of just forget about it. That's the case of the Boston Celtics. I think right now, very good for a long time this year. We kind of just forget about them because it's
Done the same thing like every
yeah,
year.
it's something when you win one game and that's impressive. But it's kind of like when you win 20, when you win 30, that's different. That's like, okay, you've done it before. We're not too impressed. This is pretty far of a shout, but Joseph Stalin had a quote: 100,
There's no way you're quoting a Russian emperor right now.
100 deaths is a tragedy. 1,000,000 deaths is a statistic. So, like, if it happens to 100 people, or if it happens a couple times, wow, that's either good or bad. But if it happens a lot, you kind of get fatigued by it, called voter fatigue, and that's what we're kind of seeing everywhere. But right now,
That'd be like me quoting Hitler. Like,
right now with the Boston Celtics, I like, of course, what I'm seeing, but I like the Knicks. I think the Knicks are different.
oh, you never clapped.
I think the Knicks are different. I think the Knicks are a different team right now. I think they're a better team. And if it comes down to that, Knicks Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, of course the Celtics are favored, and of course they're probably going to
I'm
win.
more than positive that's actually going to be the Eastern Conference.
But to be different, I'm probably going to pick the Knicks when the time comes. Also, some other playoff series to monitor or to talk about. The Clippers and the Dallas Mavericks went to 6 games. Dallas was able to close it out. Look, this Dallas offense, it's different with Luka and Kyrie. With Kyrie Irving able to pick up the slack for Luka Doncic. He led the league, Kyrie Irving, in fourth quarter scoring this year. This is a good dynamic. Luka Doncic this year led the league in first quarter scoring. Kyrie Irving this year led the league in fourth quarter scoring. So Dallas statistically has the best starter to a game and the best finisher to a game. That's dangerous.
Damn, that could be a good finisher.
And when they're both on the court at the same time, it's different.
Not when it's the second or third quarter.
Dallas this year is the closest we've seen to the Lob City Clippers in a long time. Those guys, and you're giving me a look right now, you haven't watched the Mavs play, they throw at least 5 to 10 lobs a game. They lob that ball up the basket. And it's Derek Lively, it's Daniel Gafford, Dwight Powell, and Derek Jones. 4 high flyers that go up and get that ball. Okay, because what happens when Luka drives the lane, defenses come in, Lively puts it in. Gafford puts it in. There's a reason Daniel Gafford this year had 2 streaks. Twice this year, he had a chance to pass Wilt Chamberlain's record of most consecutive shots this made in a row. 33. He got to 32 and missed. And then
How do you even... And then do it twice?
And then he got to 27 and missed.
That's...
So he made 27 in a row. It's not because he's good. It's because there's
That's like 54 points.
It's 54 points without missing. So it's not because he's shooting them all.
32 would be 64 points without missing. So Wilt has 66 points without missing.
And it's not because he's shooting all of them. He's getting the lob, and he's putting it in.
Did Wilt get that in his 100-point game?
I don't know. But that's the difference in this Dallas offense compared to different years. Kyrie and Luka can work, but then when you want to get to the hoop, Luka, the way he's able to facilitate makes all the difference. But what does concern me is that series against the Oklahoma City Thunder this year. Luka Doncic did not play good in that game a couple nights ago, and we'll see Dallas in Game 2 tonight. First off, OKC's probably got the best crowd in the postseason. That white and blue kind of variant that they've had, and they've had for a long time, is something different. When the Thunder are in the playoffs, it's exciting. It's riveting. But
it takes me back to the good old days.
With the Thunder being able to blow out the Mavs by 22 points. And Luka Doncic scoring 19 points, little stat. Luka has missed 50.
100 deaths is
Luka has missed 58 threes in 7 games. That is the most amount of threes missed in a 7-game span
How
in
many has he
NBA
attempted? How many
NBA playoff
has he
history.
attempted the most or no?
As we can check right here, yeah, he has attempted a lot of threes, a whole bunch of them. He's shooting awful. He's making 2.5 threes a game. He's shooting 11 a game. I mean,
Yikes.
he's
Okay,
shooting
yeah. So he's shooting the most amount
23%.
of the most amount of 3-point shots and missing the most.
23% from three. That is disgusting. He's 40% from the field, which is weird because Luka entering this year, and it's still going to stay pretty high. Playoff points per game scorers for a career: Michael Jordan, Luka Doncic in a career. Right? Luka was averaging 32 a
So
game.
does that mean Luka is the second GOAT?
He's the first goat.
No, MJ's better.
But Luka this year still
We done
averaging.
with the 2010s.
Luka this year still averaging 28, 9, and 8.
Well, that's
but
in playoffs.
But the problem is, first off, it's 6 points less than the regular season, and second off, 40% from the field, 23% from three, ain't gonna cut
Not
it.
good.
With Dallas, with Luka's struggles, is this more of a concern for Dallas, or is this a plus in the mindset of, oh, he'll figure it out and we'll be good, or is it like, man, he's not, if he ain't playing good, we can't work together at all.
I feel like it's both. They could definitely play good if Luka isn't doing as good as he should be. But at the same time, it's definitely kind of a setback when your leading scorer is not making a lot of shots.
Every time I give you an either or question, you always pick the or.
Yes,
You always
because it's
go
a
with both.
contribution of both.
You always go with the both.
That's like me saying
You can't be wrong. You're gonna make a great weatherman one day.
you
cannot be wrong.
Dude, okay. Don't even get me started about that. No, I'm kidding. That's okay. For me to give you a 100% yes, you got to ask me if I want Queen Elizabeth or Hitler as my leader.
Adolf.
Exactly. Man, I want that painter, bruh.
Minecraft. But listen, with Dallas,
But like when you're giving me an answer like that, it is a contribution of both. There is
Okay.
not one right answer off of that. Luka could be dog crap. Guess what? Everybody else could end up stepping up and being somewhat decent.
I could say I would lean towards it being Luka Doncic. It's more of a concern. I'll tell you why it's a concern. Because Oklahoma City's got a guy named Lou Dort, who's an amazing defender, who shut him down in the regular season and now has shut him down in the first game of this series. I think it's more of a concern. It's different if they're going up against the Clippers and they didn't really have a guy they could stick on him and say we're confident. And furthermore, as a concern, you look down the line. Okay, he's got Lou Dort here. Let's say they win. They got Jaden McDaniels in the next round in Minnesota.
They got KD, but we got Jaden McDaniels.
And Jaden McDaniels and the whole Minnesota Timberwolves team, if they move
It's
on,
great defense.
plays great defense. So I don't
why
think
they're
you
up
could say it's a
2-0 on the
combination of
Nuggets.
both. When you look at Lou Dort, when you look at McDaniels, whoever's coming for Luka Doncic and the Mavs, and then down the stretch, hey, say they play Boston in the finals, even if they make it, which is so far stretched, they're going to play with Derek White, who's an All-NBA first-team defender, or the Knicks, they have Josh Hart or Dante or OG Anunoby, who are both All-NBA defenders. So I think it is getting
But
much
I don't have
tougher.
to think that far. They're going to lose in 4 to the OKC Thunder.
I'm thinking as down the road, it's a concern when Luka Doncic is not playing good. There's a difference between, hey, he's scoring 28 a night, but when you do it at 40%, I'd rather a guy score 10 a night, scoring 80% from the field, than 30 a night at 40% from the field. It's just not efficient. And the thing is, a knock for Luka Doncic is ISO ball doesn't work in the postseason. There's a reason why very few players elevate their game in the playoffs. A lot of guys shrink. The Joel Embiids, the James Hardens, the Russell Westbrooks, those guys tend to score less. First off, there's less points because there's better defense. And second off, it's more of a team game, and it's not ISO, let me cook ball. That's why Luka Doncic, who scored 32 a game, maybe that's not the way to win in the playoffs. The upside is he still has 9, 10 assists a night, but 19 points in game 1 against the Thunder doesn't cut it. And of course, when you're dealing with a crowd that is that energetic and is that ready to play or ready to cheer on their team, anything you do, the crowd can get in his head. But he did get a top 500 in Overwatch, so Luka is playing Overwatch pretty darn good. So we'll see how that goes for him. Denver and Minnesota. It's a 2-0 series lead for the Denver Nuggets, and they are looking in a huge hole. And
For sure, Minnesota leads, not Denver.
I said 2-0 hole for Denver Nuggets.
Oh.
And
They said they led for a second. I was like, what?
Speaking of the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic wins his third NBA MVP. So we'll talk about that here along with the series. Listen, I got mixed feelings because did Luka have a statistically better season? Probably. But at the same time, he was, at least what I watched, the worst defender in the league this past season. He was 2018 level James Harden bad. Like he was bad. He was awful on defense. And that is not just affecting him. If a guy gets by him, okay, so just picture this. You're at the top of the key, Luka's guarding
Yeah,
somebody.
if a guy gets by him, the other guys have to come over and help, and then next thing you know, there's a wide open three, which leads to more points.
Correct. But you just explained it at a way worse thing.
Yeah, I don't have to get so technical.
So that's more. And Dallas did not have a good did not have a defense. They allowed a lot of threes this past year. And with Nikola Jokic, we have gotten bored of him. We've gotten bored.
It's like Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes and
This is statistically his.
like MJ and like LeBron.
This is statistically probably his third best season ever. Considering last year was maybe his best season ever. I thought he would have won it. He could have won MVP last year more than this year. He averaged 25, 12 and 10, but last year he had 63% from the field, which is all-time numbers. 63% from the field is insane numbers. But this year, Nikola Jokic, 26.5 a game, 12.5 rebounds, and 9 assists with 58.3% from the field. I think it should have been Luka Doncic. But to call this a robbery, I think is disgusting. I don't think it is a robbery in any stretch of the imagination. Look, Luka averaged, I'll give it to you, he averaged 8 more points than Nikola Jokic. But in the defense of Jokic, his team had a better record, slightly though. Jokic shot 10% better from the field. That matters. He had 5 more rebounds tonight, and he had 1 more assist tonight. So, while being a better defender. So, as we look at Nikola Jokic, and he won his MVP, I understand the claim that Luka should have won it. I don't, however, understand the claim that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should have won it. I
Like
would not.
Shaq.
I shouldn't. Yeah. First off, Shaq, if you didn't see the clip, they were congratulating Jokic on the MVP, and this is how Shaq starts out. Congrats, big man. I want to be the first one to tell you, I think Shai should have won it, but congrats, brother. Who cares, buddy? And of course, Jokic didn't get mad because he doesn't care. But
Because Jokic wants to win the finals and go back to his horses.
But yeah. So Jokic wins his third MVP. Did they get it right?
Yeah.
You think they got it right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do the roar.
Yeah.
Do the roar.
Do the roar.
Why'd they get it right?
Do the roar. You already explained everything.
Okay. I don't think they got it right. I'll be completely honest with you. I think it's Luka, but it's not at a spot where we do this too many times in the sports world, really with anything. We overreact.
It's not at a spot where it's that.
If it's close and like, wow, this is the worst thing ever, blah, 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 blah. Some things, it's a bang, 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 where you're like...
You're banging?
You're like, okay, I got a different opinion.
You can't take that over.
I got a different opinion, but it's not too far out. Where does this put, like... Nikola Jokic has now won 3 MVPs. And It's interesting when a guy wins an MVP because your all-time rankings have to change. They're like when it's official. Yesterday...
Man, I don't know where I rank them all time.
Yesterday, the all-time rankings were way different than they are today. And I think you look at Nikola Jokic.
He's like probably a top 20 player.
I think he is in that 13 to 14 player all-time. He's with Kevin Durant. Right now, Kevin Durant, 2-time champ, 1-time MVP. Jokic, 3-time MVP, 1-time champ. Of course, KD's got the accolades, the longevity stats. But you look at Jokic right now.
Jokic is what, like 30?
He's in that Oscar Robertson, Kevin Durant type thing. And I think the sad thing about this is, I think Jokic only's got 2-3 more years in him. I think when he gets to about 33, he's going to call it quits. Or I could just, he's one of those guys that...
He's 30. He's about 30, isn't he?
He's one of those guys that doesn't care, but also can just say he doesn't care and play till whenever.
Gotta go to the other tab.
So yeah, with Nikola Jokic, you got to look at him as a top 15 player ever, right? And he's still relatively young.
29.
He'll be 29 for the rest of the year and the good chunk of this year. So if he could get listen, if he wins another championship, we are in top 8, 9 ever,
Yeah.
Cal, like already, which is pretty interesting and pretty nice to track the legacy. But in the Minnesota Denver series, he is not having himself too much of a nice time. And Minnesota, their defense has just been put in all into place. And I'll be completely honest with you. I was never a big Minnesota believer. I don't completely know if I still am, which sounds weird because they're 6-0 in these playoffs. They have really
They just swept probably one of the, well, not really. They have 3 number 1 scores, so that doesn't really help. But
yeah, you picked the Suns in that series, didn't you?
no, I have to go back and look at their.
You did pick the
'cause
Suns.
I don't
I
know
remember you
if
did.
I
I
did
think
pick
the
the Suns. I
Wolves.
had them in 7, so it wasn't by a long shot. It wasn't like they were gonna sweep.
Yeah, they wouldn't sweep, right? Nobody would ever sweep in that series. But the Timberwolves, man, the defense, they get after you. They get after you on
I saw
defense.
the clips of the defense. They look double teamed to perfection. It was
Timberwolves
crazy.
and Knicks are like the same team right now. They got that number one guy, Anthony Edwards and Brunson. They have the players around him. I think the
Oh,
difference.
you mean MJ's son?
Yeah, I think the difference is Minnesota has Rudy Gobert, who's now a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner.
Right now, do you think he's gonna guard you? Hell no.
That team around, of course, down in the middle with Karl Anthony Towns and Gobert, with Anthony Edwards. I think you're hard pressed if it's not Boston. I think it's Minnesota.
And then if it's not Minnesota, it's probably the Knicks.
It's
And if
probably the
not
Knicks, so-
It's probably the Thunder.
So I really do think Minnesota has what it takes to win the championship, which basically everybody at this
I
point
mean,
does.
yeah, everybody except probably like the Pacers
But
and
right
maybe
now,
the Cavs.
right now, I would say I am way higher on Denver than other teams are. The series is far from over. The big thing is, if Denver would have gone down 2-0 playing on the road, the series wouldn't have been over. But to lose both games at home is rare, and it's even more rare to come back. They're in their biggest game of the year next year, or next game is the biggest game of the year for Denver, maybe the biggest game in the NBA so far. Game 3, they're down 2-0
At Minnesota.
in Minnesota. That crowd has the whiteout going. They're rocking. I think Minnesota can close it out. But I think it gets to a spot where Denver almost ties up the series, or it's like 3-2 or something. I think it will go 6 or 7.
Yeah, probably.
I think Denver
It'll
does.
do what the Sixers and Knicks one did.
Denver, I think, does respond pretty nicely, though. So we spent 27 minutes talking about the National Basketball Association. We're going to switch over to the NFL because that is still a sports league, if I recall, although it has not been
No
too
fun
prevalent.
league. The no hip drop tackle.
Yeah.
What else did they change? The kickoff rules. That's right.
So
Actually, I like the kickoff rules that they did.
let's move on to the top 10 teams in the NFL. Colin Cowherd, which first off, who was it? Oh, yeah. J.J. Redick's interviewing to be a Laker head coach. And if you guys don't know, Colin Cowherd has this thing against backward hats for the longest time. He thinks backward hats so inappropriate, so unprofessional. He went off on a good 2-3 minute rant about J.J. Redick had a backwards hat on the podcast with LeBron. And he's like, this guy's trying to be the head coach of the Lakers with a backwards hat. I mean, what are we doing? He's got no backbone. He's got no stability. I mean, you just can't take the guy seriously. He's done that for a long time. I think it was with Baker Mayfield.
That was like when the Colorado State coach said to like
Take off your sunglasses,
I take off my hat and sunglasses when I shake someone's hand.
And then it was funny. You know, he's got that big take, but he likes Brady and whatnot. There was a thing, I don't know if you remember, it was like 35-3 Buccaneers Bears a couple of years ago. Like the Bucs just killed them, and they're coming out of half, and Brady's got a backwards hat, and everybody like went to Colin Cowherd's Twitter. He's like, "What do you think about Brady backwards hat?" And he's, "You get to do that when you're the GOAT. You know, you get to have the backwards hat. Everybody else, don't put him on." But yeah, free agency's over, draft is over. For the next couple months, it's the time where you can kind of look back and the NFL as a whole, and then NFL schedule is going to come out in a week from yesterday, a week from Wednesday. So 6 days when we're recording this. I don't know. I don't know. I love the schedule release. Just, I don't know. But here we go. We're going to start from 10 to 1. I brought up Colin Cowherd because this is the herd hierarchy, is what he's got. He does top 10 NFL teams every single week. We'll do the top 10 here. We'll talk about him for a little bit. Let's go start at number 10 with the Philadelphia Eagles as my number 10 spot. Who do you have at the 10 spot?
My number 10 spot, I have the Dolphins.
The Dolphins at number 10. They did not crack my list. I just thought all the losses on the defensive
that's
side
why I
of the
had them
ball-
at 10 because they started out hot and then dwindled down. And then the Bills ended up winning the AFC East.
Yeah,
So,
okay. So, yeah, I just think the losses kind of catch
dude, our
up to
lists
them.
are so different. Oh, I'm gonna hate myself.
And I'm out on the Dolphins. I've been a big Dolphins guy. It's the same script every year. You're
Gonna
going
be
to
a
start out
retard.
5-1, and you're going to be the 1 seed in the
and then
AFC,
finish 11-6
and
or
then
something like
and then
that.
lose in the first round. So I mean, I've kind of been enough with the Dolphins. They don't move me.
It's like
now.
the Sixers. No way.
So Philly at 10, they lost a lot, but they also gained a lot. They had a good draft.
Yeah,
But,
that's what really set them up. Was
but
that
I mean,
draft.
losing Fletcher Cox is big. Some of the other pieces they lost. Didn't Bradbury get cut? No, he's still on the team.
I don't know. I don't think he's playing at all.
Lost Hassan
I mean, you
Reddick.
got Darius Slay. You got
Lost-
Hassan Reddick.
Lost Hassan Reddick to
where
the
did Hassan
Jets.
Reddick- Yeah.
The Jets. So yeah, I think Philly has kind of lost a little bit of a step. Also, you look at that trajectory.
I might
It
wanna-
was here. You look at the last couple weeks of the NFL season; it's down. So the trajectory's right here. So is it going to continue to drop at the beginning of the season? So, they finished 11-6, but if you look at the last 8 weeks, they were 3-5. So that's a lot different. So I have Philly at 10. You have Miami at 10. Why? What?
I literally told you.
Because what?
Because they started out super hot, they started to dwindle down, and then the Bills took over, and then
Okay.
they win the AFC East in a Week 18 matchup that they ended up winning.
I think they just lost too much. Number 9 is.
I don't even think they had that good of a draft. I kind of felt like Chop Robinson was a little bit of
Yeah,
a reach.
he
If
should
you
have
wanted
been the
him, you
first
might
round
as
pick.
well just trade it down to like the last pick in the first round.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see any other team taking him. But
Yeah, I don't know. And then at pick number 9, pick number 9. The 9th team in this NFL, I have the Green Bay Packers.
they didn't crack my list. I have them right there at 11, though. They are such a young team. They have so
Yes.
much more to build around, and they could
Youngest
be,
team in the league. Youngest team in the league.
Oh, Josh Giddey, man, don't get him. Sell it. No, I'm kidding.
Josh Jacobs on the team.
Sign Josh Jacobs and then release Aaron Jones.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs is better, younger, and But
Dude,
yeah,
imagine Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones.
I like the direction for
But now you
Green
got
Bay.
AJ Dillon playing Farming Simulator.
I've been big on Jordan Love, and like I've said with OKC and the Thunder, when you have all 5 of your pieces getting better, it amplifies the improvement
The
compared to
chemistry, it just clicks.
just having one player get better. And we have the youngest team in the NFL, and you made it to the second round. You could have beaten San Francisco.
Shit,
I mean, you could
forgot
have,
about the.
you could have beaten San
I should
Francisco.
not have them there.
So who do you have at number 9?
I'm gonna finesse my way out of this. At 9, I have the Bills.
9 at the Bills. Okay.
Yes.
I'll tell you something crazy. I do not have the Bills on my list.
I'm not surprised by that.
I do not have the Bills on my list. I just don't think. I think
they lost a little bit, but
They
they
lost-
also gained back a decent
Tre'Davious
amount. with
White,
the-
Micah Hyde,
Tre'Davious
Jordan
White
Poyer.
was trash these past 2 years.
Okay, but still, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, are very good.
Yeah,
players.
Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer are big losses, but they were
Stephon
getting old
Diggs, of
anyways.
course,
You were
they
paying
did.
them a lot of money. You needed to help with that salary cap.
I just don't like it. Number
Bills
8.
are second in the AFC East this year.
Okay,
Dolphins don't even make playoffs.
we'll get into that. July, September. August.
I know.
Number 8, Dallas
November.
Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys at 8. They've kind of been around that for the last couple of years. Still waiting for them, of course, to make that jump. But they're in a good enough spot where they can continue to go. But I think what's different now is we're entering the year as CeeDee Lamb as a top 3 to 5 receiver in the league.
Like top 2 almost. I feel like he can end up being it.
With Dak Prescott, he's actually, if you look at mock drafts for fantasy football, he's the number 1 pick in the draft in mock drafts. Huh?
Who?
CeeDee Lamb.
I'm taking Justin Jefferson.
Jefferson is like 7. So he's like a late.
Yikes!
he's
I
like a
hope
late
I get him
first
at
round pick.
dude. If I get picks, that's a steal.
Yeah, QB situation. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, Dallas at 8 didn't do much.
If anything, Garrett Wilson's probably like up there a decent amount.
They didn't-
Now there's too many weapons around him for fantasy.
They didn't do too much. 8 is about where they've been. They'll be a good team. I think they do win the NFC East
mid.
again. I think they do win the NFC East. So Cowboys at 8.
For me at 8, I have the Eagles. Same reasoning you have, but I just have them up a little bit higher.
Okay. Number 7, the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincy kind of feels like that team nobody's hating on. It feels like if anybody could take down Kansas City, it should be the Cincinnati Bengals. Burrow's back. Chase is back. I don't know about Higgins. Tyler Boyd's gone. I do like Chase Brown, though, being the number one back in Cincy with no Joe Mixon as he goes to the Texans. I like Chase Brown. I think he's due for he could get 1,000-yard year. I think he's really
Remember
really good.
Samaje P. Ryan about a year ago?
Yeah, he's really good. Giovanni Bernard.
From 2018.
7 is the Cincinnati Bengals.
For me at 7, I have the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. Any else? You just have them there?
I mean, you've already explained
Okay.
what I had for the Cowboys.
Number 6. I have the Detroit Lions. Made a lot of good moves. They also improved. I just think these top 5 teams, I think, either improved a lot in the offseason or I think are due for a bounce back and in a better spot than Detroit. But how about Detroit? I mean, you look at the weapons. I mean, St. Brown's going to get better. Jameer Gibbs, as the number one back, is going to be insane this year. Sam Laporta, Aiden Hutchinson, Brian Branch, Jack Campbell, all the ball players on that team, they are looking very, very good. Terry and Arnold, of course. Number 6 team, I could argue as them as high as 3. I think I'm a little bit higher on 3 and 4 than other people on my list, but Detroit at 6 is my spot.
Hold up one second. 1, 2, 3, 4,
So,
5. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah, 6. I also have the Lions.
Okay, 6 for the Lions. My number 5 spot is the Baltimore Ravens, which another spot where have they gotten worse? No, I just think other teams are due for a better season or in a spot where they improve. So adding Derrick Henry's huge for this team.
Yes.
Of course, re-signing the best receiver in the league, Rashad Bateman, was huge. And then everything else for this Ravens team is good. It's good enough. They're at number 5. All I'm saying, 3 and 4, I'm way higher on, especially number 4. And then, of course, the top 2 is the top 2. We'll get into that. But Baltimore at number 5.
Number 5, I have the Jets.
Jets at number 5. Why?
You bring in Olu Fashanu, which
Yes, I do.
helps Aaron Rodgers with protection. You have Garrett Wilson. You have Breece Hall. You have all these weapons
Yep.
around you. Jets have a good defense that they've been building with Quinton Williams and Quinton Williams.
He's not like one of the top players.
No,
on the
but he's on the defense.
He's on the team.
He's got like 100 and something tackles just this past year.
Tackles ain't all that.
Yeah, but really good. You have Sauce Gardner. You got this great team. So
I have the Jets at number 4. I have my Jets at number 4. Look, they were 7 and 10 with Zach Wilson. There was a point 4 weeks into the year, 5 weeks, like, can the Jets limp it into the playoffs with Zach Wilson? They didn't, but
obviously,
Aaron Rodgers is set up so
dude,
well.
that was so like.
I mean,
even him getting hurt almost helped the team a little bit.
Just take a peek.
They got a good draft pick, is what I should say.
Ola Fashanu, Mike Williams, if he stays healthy, Tyron Smith,
Garrett Wilson.
oh my goodness, and Hassan Reddick. Just added. Those are 4 heavy pieces just added. This team looks very, very good. If Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy, big if. At number 4, I could see him winning the Super Bowl. I would not be surprised.
Remember when he
all.
was teasing everybody that he was like going to come
that-
back by Christmas?
I told everybody, no shot. And everybody's like, here he comes. He said by Thanksgiving first time. He's like, I bet he couldn't even play now. Like, he'd be tough to play now. Number 4 for you?
Number 4, I have the Texans.
Okay. I have the Texans at 3.
Young squad, young quarterback, young wide receivers. You got a decent tight end. You have a really good O-line. Your defense is still building. It's a really good team all in general.
I mean, if you tell this to anybody, I mean, you have the offensive rookie of the year and the defensive rookie of the year, and you made the second round of the playoffs, and you got a top 10 receiver in the league, and you got a top 12 running back in the league. Oh my goodness!
I wonder if we'll see a repeat next year with offensive rookie of the year and defensive rookie of the year on the same team.
I
mean, we had
it's very
Sauce
rare.
and Garrett Wilson, and then
Oh, it's happened twice, but before that, it's never happened.
Yeah,
so
I
it's
know.
So rare.
I know.
That's it's not going to happen.
I'm just saying, what if?
What if? Yeah, I'd
What
go
if?
crazy. I'd run the streets. Number 3 team for you.
Ravens.
Okay. Top 2's the top 2.
I mean, yeah.
I was considering putting San Francisco at number 1.
Oh, so you're dumb.
I think they're look.
Do
Listen,
they have Mahomes?
listen.
Do they have Mahomes?
The Niners are a better.
Do they have Mahomes?
The Niners are a better team than the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Not-
Do
they're
they
just-
have Mahomes?
They're better than the Chiefs. Why don't you turn a little Mahomes meat rider, my son?
Hey, you're not copying my name. You're not. That's my saying. That is literally your name in my Snapchat. You are not
I'm
copying
a big
that.
Mahomes guy. I mean, how can you not be? It's not meat riding when he's great.
You're literally a Mahomes meat rider. That is exactly your name in Snapchat. Do you do tricks on it? Do you do flips?
San
Do you
Francisco
do the
too.
splits?
They could have gotten a lot better than Ricky Purcell. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that was. I felt like that was a reach.
I was
not gonna
considering-
lie. I don't even think he had over 1,000 yards in college. Hold on, look it up. Look it up. Look it up. Look it up. I'm pretty sure he didn't even have 1,000 yards in college.
Listen, I was
Over 1,000 yards in one season.
I was
in
also
college.
considering putting them at 3 or 4 just because.
Terrible addition.
Just
but at the
because-
same time, their team is already super good.
Just because I thought 960.
965, and I don't even think he had 1,000 yards this season before.
Just because I thought we still don't know what was Brandon Ayuk and Debo.
I think both of them are staying.
They probably are. And San Francisco's going to be good. They got the best roster.
If
in the
anything,
league.
get rid of Debo.
But they ain't Kansas City. I was considering San Francisco, but then they're in no world are the back-to-back champs not number one.
yeah, you like the Super Bowl like 3 months ago.
Listen, we're gonna fill out our predictions in early September. I'm probably not gonna have the Chiefs just because it's boring, but no damn well they're the damn favorite. You know, if I had to put
I
money
can't
on
wait for
any
the
team,
Vegas odds to leak.
what do you mean to leak?
It's a pretty obvious.
They've been out for.
I know.
They were out months before the Super Bowl. Like they do it the year after. So yeah, we have a segment coming up next week. We're going to save for it, or we're just going to trash it. But
Probably gonna
that's,
trash it 'cause I'm not gonna remember to bring this.
that's going to do it for this episode of Talking About Balls. A little bit shorter than usual, and then we'll get back to NBA playoffs coming up soon. We'll see you folks later.
We will not see you later. We will see you next week.